Bom, bom. Ba-da-da, bom, bom.
Oh,
Oh, well, look at you with the disco laser lights back there. Wow, look at that. Welcome to another edition of the Blue Review presented by LAX. I am Marcus Grant. That is Parker Bell. All discoed out, apparently.
I don't even know how I did that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, though. It was very laser cat, kind of. Like you should have been, like, scratching on a turntable or
Yes.
something like that. How you feeling, man? I know you're on your own health journey right now.
We're getting better every day. I took your advice yesterday. I got the tea,
Mhm.
so I'm hoping we sound better, but I'm happy to be here. And the chat, hello to you guys. Any questions you got, we're ready to answer today.
Absolutely. Down to answer any questions you guys have in the chat. The Dodgers get the series win over the Marlins. They do it with a 10-1 victory on Wednesday in the finale there at Lone Depot Park, which sounds like a completely I don't know, minor league sort of situation there, but I guess
Yeah.
that fits, considering who the Marlins are at 14-22. But a lot to talk about in that game. We'll also look ahead to a big 4-game series coming up in Arizona over the weekend. But first, want to give a shout out to our friends at LAX. They're transforming the travel experience, saving guests time, also putting out sporty hats for Parker to wear on the show. People Mover Train is on the way, hopefully early next year. But for more information, you can go to flylax.com/transforminglax. So 10-1. Although I would say this, for the first 5 innings, Parker, it was kind of dicey. Valente Belloso
Leente Beoso.
was shutting down the offense. A guy who, I was listening to some of it on the radio, watching some of it on TV. The announcers kept making a point that this is a guy who does not throw very hard. He tops out in the low 90s.
Yep.
And my thought was, Parker, maybe he just doesn't throw hard enough, and that's what threw the Dodgers off for 5 innings yesterday. I'm not sure.
It could have been. Who saw this coming? Pitchers duel, Landon Knack versus Leente Beoso, Marcus. I mean, we mentioned earlier, hey, we don't know him. We don't know his name. And the chat was like, Mexicali born and raised. And he proved us, he showed us what he's all
Yeah.
about. And I'm happy for him, happy for the guy to do this against the Dodgers offense, who's really just wheeling and dealing right now. But an absolute pitcher's deal. And it was kind of a fun game just to watch overall. We had it on here in the office because it was the early game. And I mean, I think we're back here, some of us, the producers back here, making side bets like who's scoring first. This pitching duel is fun.
It was fun for a while. The Dodgers ended up scoring first in the 6th inning, and they ended up putting up 9 more runs along the way. So let's kind of get into it. I mean, I guess we'll start with Landon Knack, right? Because he was the guy that he got the start in this one. They were hoping he would give them some length. Yeah, in that regard, he went 5+ innings, didn't get an out in the 6th before they had to go to the bullpen, and then Matt Sauer gets the 4-inning save for the Dodgers. That's something you see a whole lot of. But your thoughts on Landon Knack? Because I thought he looked good, and he gave them kind of what they needed. At least they didn't have to go deep in the bullpen yesterday.
Yeah, you just took the words out of my mouth right there, Marcus. They didn't have to go deep in the bullpen, and that is the biggest key to the point. Of course, Dodgers, first team to 25 wins. So despite all this talk and all this chatter about, hey, we're worried here, first team to 25. But I understand the worries. The bullpen, I think it was, 19 appearances for Vezina, 19 Yates. Everybody's up there around 18, 19, Tanner Scott, Banda, and then Phillips goes to the IL. You needed someone who gave you length, and Knack, and of course, credit to Sauer, delivered yesterday. So I was just happy to see that against the Marlins team. If it would have been one of those games where Knack goes out in the 2nd inning and you got to waste some bullpen, then this next 10-game stretch, I think it's 10 games in 10 days, or we're maybe in the midst of it, would have been pretty ugly.
Yeah, it would have been really rough if they had to go deep into the bullpen. So fortunately, they did not have to do that. Knack with a pretty good start, 5 innings, no runs, 4 hits, just 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, and then they turned it over to Sauer, who went the rest of the way. Thankfully, the Dodgers putting up a lot of runs that they could just roll with Sauer. I don't know what the plan was going to be had it stayed 1-0 or was just 2-0, something like that. If Dave Roberts would have had to mix and match in the bullpen, but when the Dodgers put up a 6 spot in the 7th inning, then it's easier to say, hey, Matt Sauer, take us on home. And so that's kind of what we got. I guess since we're talking about the bullpen, though, there was some bad news, and Roy Estrada mentions it in the chat, but we knew this as well. Evan Phillips on the injured list. news that came out literally during the game. I was, in the car, and I hear Tim Neverett say, literally, like, we have some news that we just got 30 seconds ago.
Yep.
Evan Phillips on the injured list. I believe it's forearm tightness or some arm tightness was the reason. So I suspect, Parker, we're going to see a lot more of Matt Sauer in the next 10 days, probably.
Yeah. To quote Marcus Grant, Sauer is sweet. We'll be seeing
Yeah.
Sauer quite a bit more, as of course the bullpen's also just taxed in general. Any other names, in that bullpen who you think we might see a lot that are going to be reliable? Because I mean, Sauer showed that he's got the stuff, but I'm just curious because there's a lot of names who are very high in innings already.
A lot of names that are very high in innings. Look, I think they're going to continue to lean on Vesia. They're going to lean on Bonda. All this, we were all concerned about Luis Garcia, but for the most part, he's been pretty good for them. So I think he's continued to climb up the trust tree a little bit, and I think he's earned a few more innings. I think we're still going to see Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates kind of guys at the back end of the bullpen. It seems like Yates sort of earning the role as kind of that 7th, 8th inning guy. And then Scott right now is kind of the closer when they need him until Phillips comes back, until Blake Trinan comes back, until, Michael Kopech, whenever he is going to be available again, which who knows, until those guys come back. I think that's sort of what we are going to see. I guess they still have Kasparius there to give them some length if they need to, although he seems to be kind of occupying, if not a starter's role, then a bulk guy role in that pitching staff right now. So, they have a lot of pitching, but they also have a lot of pitching on the IL right now. And so that's
right. I was looking at the names just not too long ago. I think last night, and I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, around 15 IL, since I can't even get the amount of names read at the end of this episode.
I mean, you look at the IL names on the pitching staff. The IL names are a staff that most teams would want to have,
yes.
right? I mean, Glasnow's there. I mean, Gratterall, who knows when we see him? Grove, Enriquez, Kyle Hurt, Clayton Kershaw, Michael Kopech, Evan Phillips, River Ryan, Blake Snell, Gavin Stone, Blake Trinan. I mean, these are all the names on the injured list. The Marlins would kill just to have that on their staff at this point. So, they're still working through some things. But to your point, they're 25-12. They have the best record in Major League Baseball. So despite all of our complaints, all of our fears and concerns, things are going fairly well right now. So that's definitely a positive there. Let's talk a little bit about the offense, because it did come alive in the middle to late innings. Let's start with James Outman.
Gotta start with Outman.
Start with Outman, because yesterday, I don't remember who it was. I apologize for not remembering who it was in the chat who said we should call him James Strike Outman on the show. Can we call him James Hit It Outman? Because he did that yesterday.
There it is. I think we could call him many things now, because he's back, baby. I'm on the Outman train. I gotta give credit. I gotta give credit where credit is due. I'm sitting right here next to one of our social guys, Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
He texted me, I believe it was like 7 or 8 a.m. yesterday, and basically sends Outman's stats, because we were talking about him during the Blue Review.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes, he's due. And the next thing we know, look what we got. Come on now.
Absolutely. Hitting a big home run to really break the game open. So I think that put him at 10. It was 10-0 at the time, and the Marlins ended up scoring a run in the 9th inning. So he finally gets the big swing. Although as I saw that, I thought about what you said on this show yesterday about Outman, that, he's kind of hitting, but not really in the way that you would want. It's not necessarily consistent, but every once in a while he runs into one. And yesterday he ran into one. So,
he certainly did. That was a shot. That was an absolute rocket off of Outman's bat. So I hope that maybe that's the confidence boost he needs. I was talking with Travis Rogers here from our morning show yesterday just about Outman, and what is it about going from AAA to the majors where he just absolutely slides so fast. And he says, it's all mental. It's all mental with Outman. And I hope that maybe seeing a few go out, it's like, when you're playing basketball and you just need to see it go through the net. Hopefully that's something that can get him going, because the Dodgers are going to need any able body they can get, even though, again, First of 25 wins.
Yeah, first of 25 wins. Yeah, I'm with you the same way that, it is like a basketball player. Like you make one and hopefully that opens things up and things start to get a little bit better, because to this point he has looked really lost at the plate, just watching great pitches go by, chasing pitches out of the zone, not making consistent contact. So hopefully this is something to kind of get him going a little bit, because look, I was looking at the bottom part of the lineup. After the top four, you had Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, and then Pages hitting in the cleanup spot yesterday. After that, you had Muncy hitting a $177. Conforto, who's hitting Muncy's hitting 177 now after having a hit yesterday. Conforto's down to 139. Kike got a couple of hits, which bumped him all the way up to 194. You had Barnes hitting at 225 after an 0 for 4 yesterday. The bottom of the lineup, at least by the numbers, looks pretty bleak. In fact, I saw a tweet from Eric Steven, who does a lot of great Dodger stuff, and he said, when you say it out loud, Conforto being pinch hit for by Miguel Rojas, who's being pinch hit for by James Outman, doesn't really sound great when you're saying it out loud. And that is true. So hopefully they can get going. We're going to talk about Hassan Kim, who continues to hit, who continues to produce. 2 for 4 yesterday, drove in a run, scored another run. Again, small sample size against a bad team. But Parker, he's hitting 417 right now. Has played good, for the most part, good infield defense. I know he had a misplay in the outfield. He did have that throwing error in the 9th inning yesterday. But I don't know about you. I'm pretty impressed with what I've seen from Hassan Kim so far.
I'm completely impressed with the comment. I'm curious about what they do with him in terms of defensively and where they place him. We were confused at first when we saw the lineup come out and that they're putting him at center. So in my first thought process is like, are we creating a new utility guy, a new Kike who will just put everywhere? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if I agree with that. I think I would want him to be the everyday second baseman for the future. Yeah. But overall, what we're seeing out of him has been great. The confidence is just amazing, and the team loves him. That's my favorite part. Like, the team backs him all the way. You could see the smile. And then I saw a little nugget after the game. I can't remember who was doing the interview. Maybe it was Mario Vioria. I forgot what media outlet he's with. The interpreter for Hassan Kim also speaks Spanish. I thought that was really cool. So
very cool.
He probably knows like 4 languages at this point.
Right? No, it's very cool. Kind of look, the Dodgers have utility players on the field. Why not have like a utility translator? Interpreter. Yes. For different guys around there. I like your point about how much the team loves him, because one thing that I do enjoy about this club last year as well is how much they visibly show that they are having fun. Because I feel like that wasn't really a thing for the Dodgers for a while. I don't think they weren't having fun. I think they enjoy baseball, but like it just wasn't outward. Like now, I think adding Teo has done a lot for it. The sunflower seeds and stuff. But this team visibly seems to enjoy being around each other. They seem to visibly enjoy the day to day. I mean, I guess it helps when you're winning. It's always a lot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here, Parker. And I'm gonna say that the Dodger clubhouse is a lot more fun place to be than like the Rockies clubhouse.
I would go out on a limb and agree. I mean, the Dodgers are having so much fun. I know someone in the chat already mentioned this, that they turned a Marlins fan. Did you see this clip?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
One of the best clips I've seen in the MLB this year. Just completely tore off his jersey and became a Dodgers fan, hitting the celebration with Shohei. That was amazing to see. And that's just what you're getting out of this Dodgers team. You're seeing MVP level baseball. You're seeing people smile, have fun, and it's just great for the sport. And I mean, last year's World Series proves it. It was just one of the most fun things that I've seen. And of course, as we all know here, I did not grow up as a Dodger fan.
Right. I mean, we're glad that you have something to cheer for, something positive to cheer for. I'm looking at these standings. I mean, the Angels are only 6.5 games out. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. Improbable, but not impossible. You're talking about Kim and what his future, at least in the short term, is going to be. I still believe it's going to be at second base. And from what it sounded like, the original lineup actually had Kike in center field and Kim at second. I don't know why they made the switch. They decided to put him out in center field. He had a misplay on a ball that Ramirez, I believe Ramirez hit, where I just don't think he saw it off the bat. It's a play that I think if you are an experienced center fielder, or even if he just gets a good jump on it, he probably makes the catch. Instead, he gets over his head. It ends up as a double. Fortunately, the Dodgers were able to pitch out of that situation with no runs allowed. So that sort of worked out. But I don't believe he is slated for the outfield in any real way consistently.
Yeah. I mean, he had a couple good reads, but I think that was just more of natural instinct. Overall, I think he had like 4 starts or so in center down there in OKC. So I mean, he's been doing it throughout the year. But yeah, I'm completely on board with you. Everyday center. I can see the chat agrees he should be this. Or sorry, excuse me, second baseman.
Yeah.
And hey, we'll see what happens moving forward. Because again, like you mentioned, it's for the temporary, short temporary future. We don't know even if he'll be with the club as long as we hope.
Well, that's the other thing is like, I feel like, again, put a big asterisk next to it because it's the Marlins and they are, horrible bad. But I feel like he should stick. I feel like he should get some opportunities right now. Like, you don't want Miguel Rojas playing every single day. Tommy Edman is going to be back, and with the rumors, at least the chatter that Teo could be out for a few weeks now. I think that's going to put Edman in center field. You move Pages to right. And I mean, for now, I guess it's Conforto in left field. I feel like Kim has done enough, at least early on, to kind of stick up here for a while. I just think between the way he's playing and the injuries they have and the guys that are struggling at the plate, I feel like it's hard to make a case to send Hassan Kim back to Oklahoma City right now.
Yeah. And, we mentioned just a few minutes ago, he's got the players' trust. He's high on the players' trust tree. So let's see where he is on the Dodgers organizational trust tree and the Doc trust tree. But Marcus, tonight, I know last night was great, and I kind of want to get into maybe Freddie a little bit and his hot streak. But Yamamoto, during this just insane stretch, how are you feeling about him? I mean, a below 1 ERA, he could potentially be undefeated if things went different ways.
Right.
What are you, I mean, just gosh, how much are you? Yeah.
Well, so far, he has allowed just 4 earned runs all year long in 40 innings pitched. You mentioned the ERA 0.9. After the last start that he had, where he goes 6 against the Braves and just gives up 1 hit, a couple of walks and 6 strikeouts, I have declared that hashtag Yoshi Day is a thing now. Like it is. Yes. I think it is. Because we had hashtag Kershaw Day for a long time. And look, we still have Kershaw Day, although I think it's more ceremonial nowadays than anything. But I do think Yoshi Day is legitimately a thing now, where he takes the ball. We all get really excited about what is to come. And if they are ever, I know they didn't play well, but if they're ever on one of those skids, he's the guy that you could give him the ball on any given day and feel like he's going to turn things around for you. So I'm excited about it, especially against a Diamondbacks team that one thing they can do is hit. They can hit the ball. They can score runs. Their pitching is a little bit suspect, and that's part of the reason why they're just kind of hovering right around 500 right now. Are they 19 and 18? Mostly because pitching is a problem. So I'm very curious to see him go out there on the road against a good hitting Diamondbacks team and see what he could do. But at this point, I have complete confidence in Yamamoto.
Yeah. How about you were talking about the Diamondbacks and how they can hit. Just this 3-game stretch for them, I thought is so funny. They lost to Kodai Senga's, who having an amazing year this year. Yamamoto today, and then Sasaki next. So 3 straight of the top Japanese players in the game. Brutal stretch for them. But they have Fat on the mound for them today, Brandon Fat, and I think it might be a pitching duel again. Based off of how the Dodgers started off against the Marlins yesterday, I do expect another pitching duel. I mean, Yoshi, I'm thinking over 5 Ks. Knock on wood, of course. I don't want to put the opposite juju out there.
Right.
I like the 5K play for Yoshi. Hashtag Yoshi Day.
Hashtag Yoshi Day. Yeah, for real. I'm sitting here and I'm kind of filibustering and trying to get down to what Fat's numbers are against the Dodgers, because you're right. He's had some good success against them. Let's see. Here it is. 4 games against the Dodgers. He has an ERA of 3. Wait, that's not it. I'm looking at the wrong column. But yeah, he's been very good against the Dodgers throughout his career. All right, here we go. Actually, a 6.2 ERA in 4 starts against the Dodgers. So maybe he hasn't been as good as I anticipated.
Good news for us.
Yeah, 14 earned runs in 20 and a third innings pitched. So I'd have to go back and look at each game specifically and see if maybe there was one where he kind of had a big blow up game or something like that. But reason to be optimistic about today, because I think getting off to a good start in Arizona is going to be key. For the weekend for sure. You mentioned Freddie Freeman.
Yep. Start with Freddie. MVP.
Freddie stays hot. Greg and I were talking a couple days ago. There was an article put out that listed the top 10 first basemen, I think in Major League Baseball, and somehow Freddie Freeman didn't make the top 10 list. And I'm wondering whether or not the writer of that would like another crack at putting that list together right now.
What did Halliburton say? Overrate this.
Yeah, exactly.
Who out here? What writers are overrating Freddie? This man needs to be top 3 in everybody's list.
I mean, 3 for 4 yesterday, 4 RBIs, including a bases loaded triple on a pitch that you shouldn't hit a triple on the pitch that he did. I mean, it was down and kind of away. He had to reach out for it and somehow put it in the right center field gap. Scored all 3 runs. He ends up on third base. He's hitting 362 right now. I mean, he's got 29 RBIs. I don't know how you in any universe consider he's not one of the top 10 first basemen across Major League Baseball. I just don't.
And he's doing it on the other end too. His fielding's been great, and it's just consistent. Every year, Freddie has those moments where he goes through those stretches, and it's just like, oh my gosh, yeah, no wonder he's the World Series MVP. I mean, 713 slug as well, and the doubles are what stands out to me. Like, it's not just little bloopers here and there. Like you said, that pitch should not have been hit the way it was hit. And he still laid out a triple. That's just when like you're seeing the ball like a beach ball right now. He is lit up, and I'm excited to see what he does against the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. So he had a good week against the Marlins, which he has owned in his career, which I guess, by the way, I
quite literally owns them.
Literally owns it. Like, he has the most, he's the opponent with the most career home runs against the Marlins. Obviously, a lot of those coming during his time with the Atlanta Braves.
They mentioned it on Nevert's on the broadcast.
I think one of them is a Met. Is it David Wright?
So 2 Ryans.
Oh, there's Ryan Zimmerman.
Yep.
And I don't know.
And probably one of the greatest power Ryans.
Oh, Ryan Howard. That's right.
Yeah. Graham over here was shaking his head. He's
Ryan Howard and Ryan Zimmerman. That's right. That's who it was. I knew it was obviously it makes sense. They were guys who spent most of, if not their entire career, in the NL East. Yeah. Get the most opportunities, but for sure.
Yeah. 42 homers against the Marlins. So if we could play the Marlins every day, I would love that.
Man, if they could play the Marlins every day, and if they could see Sandy Alcantara, every 5th day, this team would win like 140 games, something like that, for sure. All right, so we got game 1 of a 4-game set against the Diamondbacks coming up tonight. First pitch scheduled for 6:40. Yoshi Yamamoto going against Brandon Pfaadt, who is 5-2 so far this year. So looking forward to it. And by the way, I saw the question from Kira in the chat. No, I don't think Yamamoto's going to get a no-hitter this year, mostly because Dave Roberts is not going to let him pitch that long in any one game. It won't be about Yoshi. It'll be about Dave Roberts going to the bullpen.
Yeah. We may see 2 no-hitters through the 7th. And then he'll be pulled both times.
Exactly. I think that's kind of what we can expect from the pitching staff so far this year. But hopefully Yama can give them some length tonight. Again, kind of save that bullpen a little bit. I suspect, though, if the Diamondbacks hit the way we know they can hit, we're going to see a lot of arms coming out in relief over the next 4 days. Oh, by the way, also the talk that Tommy Edman, maybe not this weekend, but after this series is over, the hope is that Edman can be back. So one more guy coming back to the lineup is never a bad thing for the Dodgers. Also, not a bad thing for you all out there. Travis and DeMarco coming up next here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. We appreciate you hanging out in the chat, all your comments, all your questions, all your participation. We are glad to have it. Parker, continue to get better. Stay away from any fast food mishaps that may have happened to you in the last 24 hours or something like that too.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that on a Friday Blue Review.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
All right, sounds good. So stick around, though. We appreciate you hanging out with us here on the Blue Review. Thanks to LAX for putting this on. Tomorrow, back with you, 8:30 to 8:55. Jeff Spiegel is always joining us on a Friday. Think Blue. Let's go, Yama. Let's see what happens. We'll be back to talk to you about it tomorrow. See it.